me, your favorite actor, the Hollywood assassin, Marc Chouen, here for Hollywood's Corner, brought to you by Shot of Wrestling. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Riley Shepard. Riley,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Oh, wow, right. It was BCW Anniversary 4 when I saw you.
hmm
We'll be talking about that in a moment. But how are you doing? How you been?
Pretty good. Just, surviving in this crazy world, but it's hopefully opening up back soon. Hopefully we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, especially with shows starting, especially in the tri-state area, being able to run outside. So crossing my fingers, that means that we can safely do the things. But,
Spring is here. Warmer weather is arriving, so I know definitely more shows going to be popping up.
sunshine.
Sunshine, exactly. I've been cooped up during this whole time, but I've seen you doing your thing over social media,
Yep.
out there wrestling. I feel like this pandemic has not stopped you, which is great. Tell me, how has that been working through this?
Yeah, it's been a little harder because I expected coming back from my ACL injury a month and a week pretty much after coming back from that was literally when COVID shut everything down.
Right.
So I
Look down the
expected
world,
coming. Perfect timing. I have great timing. But I expected to come back, and my goals coming back from being out from a year were to be booked at least once every weekend and to travel more. And so COVID kind of had some other plans for that, and it didn't quite happen. But I got very lucky where I do have a lot of home promotions who were following CDC protocols and were trying to do the right things with the masks and safety policies and things like that to try and make it safe for the wrestlers and the fans. And so I tried to stick just with a few promotions that I knew would try and do their best to do the right thing and keep everyone safe. So I have been able to still wrestle when it was warmer, definitely, for sure. Because in New Jersey, it's cold and everything shuts down and you got to go indoors because we hibernate. But yeah. But in the meantime, especially over like the colder months, I'm still training. I still have a personal trainer, Sydney, who kicks my butt twice a week, who I've pretty much been quarantined with her since the beginning of all of this. So she's kept me in shape so that I didn't pack on the pounds, and my muscles still got to grow. And I started just kind of working on more personal goals that could eventually lead to bringing it back to wrestling, which was a lot of my stuff with the domestic violence and sexual assault response team, is something after speaking out that it lit a fire under my butt. And I went, well, I have the time now. I have the passion, obviously. So that's what I did is I got certified. I got my certificate in November. And then I also now have a part-time job with their safe house and their hotline, which all came pretty much because of COVID.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so even though I may not have been wrestling in a ring, it's still something that I very much want to bring back to our community in a very big way. It's something that we really, really need, and it's something that I knew I could take first steps with. So that's pretty much how I've been handling it. Where can I put my brain power and resources instead?
No, I mean, that's amazing. You hear a lot of people, they're doing the work to come back, whether it's character work, promo work, or actual in-ring work to come back in a bigger way. But you're talking about not only just that, but using your skill set from that's not necessarily just as a talent, but how to make a difference in the wrestling industry altogether during a very fragile time in the community in the wrestling world, which I commend you for. So So for those that don't necessarily know about what that role would be, educate us a bit. How could you apply that to wrestling?
So my idea right now is just to gain all of the knowledge and education I can between volunteering, going out to hospitals and police departments for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, to also now working in the safe house and the hotline where I work with survivors. Just pretty much taking all the knowledge, all the education that I have gained and continue to gain. And I just want to bring it back to wrestling of maybe having more training. It's really right now, all of my ideas are more in a grassroots phase. I know there's something called Safe Wrestling Collective that I'm also a part of that started when Speaking Out first started. And it's pretty much, they were working with people from human resources and people with backgrounds in sexual assault and getting paperwork to hopefully bring to promoters, to trainers, to wrestlers, to fans of kind of like agreements, but also to say, hey, I want training in this. I want to make wrestling a better and safer place for everyone. And just that was like the first start of it all. And eventually I want to educate people because I feel like that's something that's very much missing. I know everyone in wrestling has a very big heart and want to do what's right, but they don't always necessarily know the appropriate response to certain things because it's not something they've ever had to deal with. So my first step in my eyes is education and training, and that's something that I want to bring to wrestling so that it can be safer for everyone, and that can be the first step, and then we can go from there. But yeah, that's more of like my idea of an eventuality, but well, guess what? I now have the time to make that eventually start happening.
Have you seen some progress since? I mean, you've been out there working. Have you seen some promotions taking those necessary steps or having those conversations with perhaps with you that have the knowledge or even just with the talent in general?
I've seen a couple, especially our home BCW. I know we got a little embroiled with certain things, but kudos to the promoter who I reached out to and was like, hey, this may not be the best way to go about this. I think you kind of need to check into maybe this training for yourself or admin and whatever else. And kudos to him, he did it. Anthony Cole, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He realized that the way he approached what had happened when Speaking Out first came out may not have been the best way of doing it, and he swallowed his pride, which is a hard thing to do in this business sometimes, and realized that, oh, I don't have this knowledge, and oh, maybe there's something more, and go from someone who has an experience. And so yeah, he took the training. I believe a couple of other people in BCW did as well. Yep, see, there you go. And so everything, they kind of made me more of a liaison at that point to keep track of everyone who took the training and that we're keeping on top of it and things like that. So I've really only gotten to do it with BCW at this point, but it's something that I do now that I have the certificate of the 80 plus hours of this volunteer time, and also now working part-time. It's something I do want to branch out to any promotion I have a part of and kind of just start in my group, see where it goes, and start branching out from there.
No, I think that really is amazing what you're doing. And I know the incident you're talking about, and it was unfortunate to see how things came about to be. And I know emotions were running high on all ends, and it wasn't handled in necessarily the best of way. I remember that, and I think I can't speak for everyone, but I think we all wish in a way that maybe things could have been taken back or been done more of in a better way and with better taste. But I mean, this is what education is about. Is just to evolve, to change, and to have understanding and listen to each other, and to be better people from this. And if the fact that you're a leader of that change, a leader of that movement, I think it's phenomenal. And I really hope that does spread about in wrestling, especially during even though it's been a year or we're approaching a year from the Speak Out movement in wrestling. It's just still I feel like it's just still so fragile here, and I think there are many stories that have been left untold.
I think that's a pretty common misconception that people have, is that there's a timetable for survivors of when they come out with their stories or when they're done going through the healing process, or why didn't they go to the police or things like that. But there's so many things that are embroiled in a survivor's struggle of healing and coming to terms with what happened to them and things like that. And it's not on a timely schedule. It's on no one's schedule, really. Right. It's not even on their schedule. Like they go through it as they can. And so I think at this point, there are definitely going to be stories still coming forward. There'll probably never be a stop to it. Unfortunately, that's just It's its own little pandemic.
I mean, hopefully, eventually it'll come to a stop where, like, you know, more people are aware of what's going on.
Yes.
There's less, or maybe hopefully none, as far as sexual harassment or assault or anything like that. Like, you know, like the guys and girls are educated on this, and to, you know, with respect, no means no.
Yeah, and I wish it were that easy. Just be like, no means no, but we're aware that people don't always take no for an answer. But I do feel like the education and the allyship of people being aware, so it's not so on the survivor to say, this person's doing this to me, but other people seeing it and saying something and being like, you know, that's so they don't feel like they're alone.
Right.
Is a really big step. And I'm hoping that speaking out brought that awareness of being like, I have a voice and I can use it too, instead of looking the other way and being like one of the boys or whatever it is in the boys' locker room. And I say boys because that's normally what is said, but obviously survivors can be any gender. But yeah, I'm hoping speaking out gave that awareness, but it is something that's going to be continual. It's not something that's ever going to end. It's just, we have to be aware, we have to be educated, we have to know how to help people, and to believe survivors. And at this point, there are a lot more people who are loud about it, who will voice and will help. And that to me gives me a glimmer of hope.
No, 1000%, and especially, I think it does start with the promoters themselves to take the necessary steps. You know, you have the promotions that, you know, they have they have the luxury to have an HR unit and to have, you know, different departments how to handle this, PR.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like, you know, on the indie level, the money's not there
No.
And usually it's just like the promoter or a small group of people running the show, and they don't necessarily have a background in that or background in HR, or, you know, HR, they have other type of jobs that
Right.
Okay, babe, but like they need to take necessary steps to educate, and you know, maybe hire a certain person who knows how to deal with this. You know, because like they don't necessarily know how to do these investigations on their own, or what to do. And I think, like, you know, my own personal opinion, that they need to step up. And I think a lot of them, from what you talk about, have, or it's like how to properly handle this. That they might, some of this might be over their head as far as how to handle it.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to accountability, which, like you said, on the indie scene, it's hard because at the end of the day, it's on the promoter, on the trainer, on the wrestlers themselves to you know, bring it to the forefront and say, hey, this is something we still have to deal with. We can't sweep this under the rug anymore. We need to hold people accountable. We need to be accountable.
Looking forward to seeing the work that goes into it, because yes, as we spoke, we're working the same promotion together, BCW, which leads me to that, BCW, the return. It is coming back this year, Riley. I know you have a lot of unfinished business from the last show. Tell us your thoughts.
Just a tad of unfinished business. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, the last time we saw each other was in Atlantic City over the summer for the anniversary, and I was facing Vanity for the BCW Women's Shiny. Like that was mine. I love Vanity to death, but that was my shiny, and it belongs with me. But instead, someone decided to interject themselves into our match by the name of Ruthless Lala, who was ruthless and took my head off with her freaking lariat that just laid me out.
Big statement, not only just physically, but on the mic too. She's not just going after, as you put it, the shiny for the women, but she's going after all the belts.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I completely understand that sentiment, because that's my thinking too, is collect them all. You know, kind of like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. That's my mentality too. So I get it. But I mean, she didn't belong in that match. She had her match earlier. She didn't mean to interject herself the way she did. She could have just, hey, guess what? Waited to see who won that night and then said, hey, I challenge you. But no, she had to do it her dirty way and had to come running in and just clobber us when we were already through, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of a match. And she just took us out. So yeah.
Really going at it, going back and forth. It was a great match, and then it was unfortunate to end the way it ended. But guess it, like, so what happens next for Riley Shepard? I mean, have you talked to BCW management? Are you back in the line, or are you due for a rematch? Is it going to be a triple threat? What's next for you guys?
I mean, to be fair, your guess is as good as mine. I know what I hope for. I know I definitely still deserve that chance of that opportunity of that shiny. Whether that's in just against Vanity in another singles match, whether that's in a triple threat, whether you want to throw the whole women's roster in the ring with us, I don't care at this point. That shiny is coming home with me. I'm going to be Riley 2 shinies, and it's mine.
Oh, eye on the tiger right here. Well, I think one of the shows coming up is Queen of the North. That'll be their third one. I mean, what better time than then?
Yes. Queen of the North has a special place in my heart for sure. So I would love to be able to have a title opportunity on whenever that show is. I'm hoping soon.
I noticed you said title opportunity, not specifically calling out one title in particular, because the last time you were on Queen of the North, you faced Darius Carter for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes, I did, and he likes to point out that he walked away with the title, which he did. To be fair, he did, and to be fair, I have a very begrudging respect for Darius as a wrestler, but not as a human being. Yeah, he's an awful human being, but I have a begrudging respect because he's held that title for, God, how long? Is it almost 2 years now?
Over 800 days.
Yeah, so that's even more than 2 years.
How can we forget? I mean, a man reminds us every single time he can.
I know, I should know. He has like a countdown all the time, like every other day. It's been this many days. Okay, fine, we get it. But to be fair, like, he is a fighting champion. He's a dirty fighting champion. Like, he's sneaky and smug about it.
He's out too, just like you. I mean, he's going to be in Tampa this coming week for WrestleMania. So, I mean, he's repping the brand pretty damn well. If he's God, I can't believe I'm saying this. If you want to have someone be your champion, it's got to be Darius Carter, because he talks the talk, walks the walk, and he reps the brand pretty damn well.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
He will tell you if he's repping your brand. He will tell you if he's holding one of your titles for sure every second of every day, and kudos to him for doing it. I may not agree with that. If you want a champion, it should be him, because it should be me. But I will I will say, even though he likes to remind me he walked away with the title, I like to remind him that the last shot was a chair shot to his spine. That felt damn good after a year of him tormenting me with my knee and not being able to touch him. So great. You can have the shiny. I got to hit you with the dang chair.
One of my own, Nia Kennedy, was there with you.
Yeah. And out of nowhere, she is very convincing, I do have to say. It took me a moment, and I don't know why I even hesitated at that point after everything he had put me through. But she's very convincing for people to go to the dark side, I do have to say. Momentary dark side, but she's very convincing.
You talked after the BCW show. Like, I was trying to recruit you as well. You're very talented. We have our eye on you. And we have a spot open, Satsujin. Nice.
Oh, do you? I don't know. I like I said, I have respect for all of you guys, but sometimes the way you guys handle things is not quite the gladiator way, but maybe we can talk.
We're reformed.
Okay. We'll see. I have always said actions speak louder than words, so we'll see what the next what 2021 brings for your squad. And then maybe we can talk.
I'm looking forward for our paths to cross. I'm looking forward to Queen of the North. I'm looking forward to the Grand Dragon Championship and anniversary.
Oh my gosh!
Shows are happening this year.
Riley, I already told Rick Brecken to fight me over that.
Rick on, so you gotta learn his name before you fight him.
Rick Brecken. I'm very bad at pronouncing names. I'm sorry, Rick. I've known him for years too, and one of these days I'll actually be able to say people's names without them getting mad at me. But I'm just gonna call him Rick. Ricky. You think he'll kill me if I call him Ricky?
I think he'll kill you no matter what. So
True. He is a cyborg.
come back. It might be me, Riley. So
No, see, you're trying to recruit me, and now you're trying to get your squad member to kill me.
I'm not. I'm actually preventing that from happening because I like you.
I don't know. When the chips are down, would you choose me or him?
Well, we're gonna have to find out. When I see what happens in the Grand Dragon tournament. If you're in it, I gotta say, if you're not with
Hey, my sword is thrown in for that. My sword is thrown into that, and yeah. Like I said, I don't care what title. I don't care the gender. I just want a shiny. And this one's called a dragon. Like, it's named after a dragon. Who best would represent a shiny with an actual legit dragon besides, I don't know, the Gladiator of Geeks with armor and a sword? Like,
well, this championship belt is for a workhorse, right? That's the type of championship this is going to be. Granted, you're out there doing your thing. You're kicking ass. Brecken is out there doing his thing, kicking ass. He has been grinding hard day in and day out since before the pandemic, during the pandemic, after the pandemic. He's out there doing his thing, Riley, with all due respect. Yes, it is a Dragon Championship. And yes, you're part of the Geek Squad, but Rick Recon, he's a workhorse and he is a show horse, and that belt does belong to him. All due respect.
Has he gone toe-to-toe with Darius Carter yet for the heavyweight championship?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll have this discussion after he goes toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion.
Well, afterwards, he will be the heavyweight champion, so then we'll be talking.
We'll see. Hey, then I get the, Grand Dragon.
We'll talk. Talk to me. We'll work something out. But Riley, always a pleasure having you on. Tell me, where can they find you on social media?
So I have a website, RileyShepard.com, with all of my matches on there. And for social media, I am at the Riley Shepard on everything: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Really easy. The Riley Shepard.
She's a pro.
I try. I got it.
Thank you, Riley, for coming on. Cannot wait to work with you again. And as for me, you can find me at yourfavoriteactor.com. For Shot of Wrestling, you can go to Shot of Wrestling and all forms of social media. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcasts every Monday, where we go over wrestling shows for the week and the hottest topics going on at the moment. And as for yours truly, it is a privilege to be here with you guys. Chouen is out.